I don't even know if we can have a moment tonight. It's just, we're going to just cook these fools all goddamn night. So I'll play you a flute in a minute here when we dive into, but all I'm saying is that Meltzer and these guys have been perpetrating forever that Trick Williams ain't NXT's bad, like for the last handful of weeks now, and to try and big up Dynamite. And then all of a sudden, this, after they accuse people of leaking fake numbers, a fake number comes out for NXT. Then NXT number was way better. And then a number came out for Dynamite that was really low. And then they tried to go, well, that's probably not even going to be the actual number. And then it turns out it was the real number. Yeah. You guys following me?
This week was perfect. Yeah, it was perfect in every single way.
Insane. Dose, your thoughts, man. Like, talk about it. Like, what's going on here, man? You're smarter than me when it comes to this. What's going on with all this? Like, it's just more projection on their end. I feel like they tried to leak a goddamn number about NXT. They have this agenda. I've been covering it for weeks now. If you tune into all the shows, I'm telling you guys, man, they're doing the worst booked NXT in forever. Joe Hendry gets 5 million social media views in one day. Outdrew everything since WrestleMania. Like, it's crazy. And then the fact that Dynamite did the rating it did, and then the excuses these have, the Kendrick Lamar concert.
Right.
It was Juneteenth. What? They're trying to say Black Panther was on TNT. They literally are saying the lead-in wasn't Big Bang Theory.
Right.
You know, so you're admitting that the lead-in is...
Notice how they blamed everything on something black.
I mean, yeah, basically, yeah.
I mean, this word's going to be in air quotes, but you know, you like me, until 7 weeks ago, I watched every single AEW television show there was, and most of the pay-per-views. And their air quotes crowds, you know, you're not supposed to judge books by their coverage, but it doesn't look like there's a giant overlap between the AEW typical crowd and Kendrick Lamar need to watch this concert live and not watch anything else, period. Couldn't possibly watch the concert on my phone and wrestling on TV or vice versa. Right. I mean, the AEW crowd looks more like maybe like the Wiggles.
Hot potato, hot potato.
Hot banana, what is that? Yeah, no, I'm a big Wiggles fan. Yeah,
me too. Shout them out, man.
Yeah, Captain Feathersword fell asleep on a pirate ship. I mean, you know.
Dude, I love the Wiggles, man. But here's Emma Wiggle. I like Emma Wiggle. You know what I'm saying? Here's let's move along here. Okay, we're talking about the Wiggles.
Okay,
listen. But listen here, okay? It's what you're saying is spot on, because they tried to bring Swerve out instead of giving him his big homecoming on Dynamite when he won the title. What did they do? They tried to parade him out in an overlap after a Miami Heat game on that random collision or whatever. Mm-hmm. We watched it, right? Or it was like 2 weeks later on Dynamite. I can't remember, but they just waited on Swerve and they're like, yeah, we'll put him right after the basketball
It was the collision. Game. It was the collision.
So yeah, dude, AEW does their worst ratings like ever. We have people reacting to it. So what was the rating exactly? It was WWE
502,000, a 0.16 in the demo.
Right. So WWE Gareth has it right here. People hate Gareth. Listen, I don't know. He's just trolling WWE. You can't let that trigger you. Okay. Like, he's allowed to not, like, I'm allowed to go on my Twitter and go the Panthers because I want the Oilers to win. You know, I'm allowed to go on my and go Bobrovsky, you know? So this guy's allowed to go and say fuck AEW.
Yeah. Why can't you just enjoy all hockey? Shut up.
Yeah, no, bitch, I don't, because I want my team to win the Stanley Cup. Yeah, so it's so silly. And like, dude, why can't you enjoy all hockey? Because the KHL isn't as good as the NHL. You know what I mean? Anyways, so NXT, a 7-2-4. Now, your boy Phil, I've been breaking it. We don't even got it. I've gone over this for weeks and weeks and weeks. NXT already been beating Dynamite, but this was the irrefutable. Dave Meltzer can't say, oh, but the demo was actually 0.23, so they beat them because theirs was 0.22. He can't do that because the demo's a whole 0.10 lower. And it's a whole 225,000 less people watch this garbage. That was this Dynamite. And then you got, well, we're going to get, should I play a flute, guys? Does chat want flutes? I'm going to play one for you guys just because. You guys hit that like button and I'll play you a flute. We need it in our veins. We're going to just play like 10 flutes tonight because it's impossible. We can't. So this is Dave Meltzer, whole dummy of the show, okay? Okay. We'll play like 5 more tonight, okay? Just keep running those likes up and we'll just keep playing them because you got Brian Alvarez saying like, no, this was an awesome Dynamite. It was great. No, it wasn't. We watched it on PWT. I'm convincing people who never watched the show to go, Phil, I'm going to watch it with you, man. chat, let people know if you don't normally, or you normally shut it off or skip it, but you're watching it because you want to watch it with Phil. And then how many of you quit halfway in? Or how many of you were like, this is stupid, or we're pointing out what's dumb, or we're like, okay, this is good, but this is like, now what are they doing over here? It's ridiculous, man. It's not good that Ospreay came out and faced off with Swerve, and they're both supposed to be baby faces, and then he comes and faces off with MJF in the same night, and they're supposed to be baby faces. Meanwhile, we're trying to build Forbidden Door, and people are fighting Hitchahiro or Habanero or whatever the Dose said. That is not good, dude. I don't care what, like, there's nothing there. There was nothing to this Dynamite. There was nothing memorable at all. I truly feel that way. Like MJF and Rush, oh, did they have a solid match? Yes, but even the AEW fans tell you, even myself, who is an AEW fan at heart, deep down, I'm just a pro wrestling fan, right? But ultimately, it's like the diehard, the sickos, as Tony Khan calls them, the sickos, they're great. They will even tell you, like, no, there's the best matches all the time on AEW. So that right there shows you, like, it doesn't mean we need matches that are phoned in, but not every match needs 30 minutes. Jericho and Big Bill don't need 20 minutes tonight. Oh, I used my stopwatch. It was actually 14 and a half. I don't give a people are not tuning in for this. What is not connecting? And you cannot tell me that the ratings don't matter, because people wouldn't get so mad about the ratings when they're bad. We wouldn't see the meltdowns and the copes and trying to bury Trick Williams and trying to bury NXT. We wouldn't see all the come out on the other side. So it does show that it's sandy vaginas and salty grapes. And also, it's only a TV show. I beat this up to death on this show as well. It's only a TV show. God damn it. They don't run a house show loop. They're not trying to build fans in any other, like, by doing pro wrestling. They're not like, here's an AEW indie show where it's not televised, but it's like for 500 people, and it's like indie style, like a spot show. Like, that's kind of what Dynamite is already. But you know what I mean? That could have been their house show loops. They're not doing any of that. They don't have a PC. They're not like trying to expand AEW International. They don't have a developmental. They don't even want to use Ring of Honor as a developmental. They're just using Ring of Honor as, like, I don't know, a place to put wrestlers who he doesn't have time to book or whatever. I don't understand it. It's stupid. It's not working, and it's bad all around, and it's just a TV show. So that's why the TV shows matter. Okay, I just ranted and raved there. I need to take a breath. Dose, your thoughts on basically my head exploding there.
For it. I'm in all support of your head exploding. That was an excellent rant. First of all, NXT is a good show. It's not always the best, but you're watching developmental. Not everything is great. Not every character is great. There's going to be mistakes, but you know what you're watching. But as far as, it's very easy to digest. It's fun to see sort of the newer stars. They send a lot of people from the main roster down to be involved in the stories as well. And they've been signing more people who have been working in other places, who might be middle-aged wrestlers or whatever, to get them TV ready or to help out with the youngsters. But there's also of really talented, really great looking female wrestlers on NXT as well.
Oh, incredible amounts.
Yeah. And they do not shy away from the sex appeal. Not at all. So there's all of that. But basically, it's just everything makes sense. The booking makes sense. You can tell when they're transitioning one story into another feud and why. There's always a connective tissue. And Triple H and HBK book very similarly. There shouldn't be any shock there. But it's a good show. I think there's been some buzz with TNA, and I think some TNA people, it's easier to find NXT than it is TNA. So people who watch TNA maybe in other streams, other TNA app, or VPNs or whatnot, they're tuning into USA because they have USA, or their parents have USA, or whatever the case might be. But it's also just good, and I think when more people watch it, they just watch it. One of the things I've always been critical of AEW, even from the beginning, is that it always seemed like it was a car crash. Like everything was a car crash. Like it was like watching, like you weren't even watching one person play pinball. Watching like one pinball game, but there were 6 pinballs going simultaneously, and it gives you a headache. Nothing in NXT is like that. Everything in NXT is orderly. Even the run-ins, when they take you by surprise, it's not like you have 23 different factions coming in. So AEW is sort of difficult to watch. Then there's no continuity, and somebody, one of the fan accounts, probably Drainmaker or Dave Burrow or Sean Story or whatever, one of the real ones, one of them's always making excuses, said something 2.5 years ago, Leo Rush, and he was in the story with Dante Martin, and they're picking it right back up. Who says AEW doesn't tell stories? No, they don't know any other stories. They put the four young black guys in a group together, and they don't trust each other. And all that says is that the Martins haven't advanced. They haven't, in 2.5 years, their position on the card hasn't changed a bit. They're with, Leo Rush, who isn't under contract. He's just doing an appearance because AEW, I think, is on a secret sort of contract spending freeze. But this is great. But the real MVP is the Big Bang Theory. And it's undisputable now that the Big Bang Theory on the front end, and to a lesser extent, Young Sheldon on the back end, are the MVPs. They were jogging the numbers. That first minute of 1.5 million was changing that whole first quarter to make it look like there's, 878,000 people starting, when really by the time it rolls around to 802, or whenever people got back from the pizza place and realized they didn't turn the TV off, or whatever the case is, it drops down 150. But even in this show where it started, the high was 588,000. They still lost in the overrun 160,000 people during the course of. I figured at least this, if in this honest count, it would be a more flat plateau. It would be more like sort of 500s all across the board. Nope, they still had that steep dive, even into the overrun, where the main event which was Hechicero or whatever his name is. And this is Tony Khan. He books for himself. No one in the U.S. wants to watch Hechicero. And when I say no one, I realize there are people who do. But I'm talking like under 10% of the wrestling fan.
The exception doesn't make the rule. We're talking about in general when we say like, well, no one wants to see that. At least not yet. Build up to it. Give me a few weeks. Like, what's going on?
Right. And that's because we know that they're going to be forced onto Forbidden Door. Nobody wants to see CMLL in Forbidden Door. I'm not even sure anyone wants to see New Japan in Forbidden Door anymore, because everybody that was good in New Japan works for AEW right now or someplace else. Maybe Stardom, but I mean, they've already ruined the best thing by doing the HLA.
HLA, yeah, my favorite part of the show. Yeah, pal. Just
it was my favorite before I left.
AEW did not get their stuff on Max or streaming or anything. Even Dave Meltzer's going, oh, it's kind of odd, that Phil's flute.
Well, it's not odd if you've been listening to me for the last 2 years.
Yeah, dude. And so Tony Khan took their pay-per-views and yada da da, and they're on, what is it, Triller, which is lost. I researched it. They lost a show money. They changed ownership. It's not a good look. Like, Triller's dead. I remember it was popping for a bit. Like Wiz Khalifa and stuff was like posting Trillers all the time, but I don't think no one uses Triller anymore. And I think it's more of like even Jake Paul, they moved away from using, like, everyone got off that sinking ship as well.
It's a D-list streaming service.
Well, just chat me up about that, Evil Dose, a little bit more.
I mean, listen, I never heard of Triller until a few months ago. So, but it's not a big deal. It's not a great place. So you can order all of the AEW pay-per-views are on Triller. I'm going to assume it's exclusive, but nothing says Max is not interested in me other than me saying it for the last 2 years plus. Then them signing a deal, which, by the way, didn't take 841 days to come to. It probably took 3 days to do it, to work it out. And you could see it a few months ago. They started having their pay-per-views go on 4 or 5 different platforms other than traditional pay-per-view. And I'm like, you don't diversify if you think you're going to unify under Max. You just don't do it. And I said kudos to AEW for doing that diversification. But the fans don't get it. They think that you can just do whatever you want whenever you want. And that's not the way contracts work. It doesn't matter how rich you are. Anyway, and we can go into the difference between liquid and non-liquid, and how rich is what, and what's richer than a conglomerate, and this, that, and the other day. But I don't think any of your listeners want to hear that. And if they do, they can follow me on Twitter, and they can find me, and I'm happy enough to engage with anyone in conversation that's even halfway normal. But yeah, so you can purchase all of the pay-per-views a la carte if you like, all of them. Well, there's like 25 of them that are on there. It's none of the 2024 ones are on there yet, but through 2023. Or you can buy a yearly package. So there's various prices, which you could figure it out, depends on the number of pay-per-views, and AEW did in that particular year. So it's like between $29.99, I think like $59.99, and it says unlimited. So I'm assuming that you whatever you buy, it's like a long-term rental from Blockbuster that, you know, you have it for a year or whatever, you know, or maybe it's for 30 days, whatever it is. I haven't looked that closely into it, but it's not forever. It's not like you didn't buy them, you don't own them. You just have access to however long the length of that purchase is. So if you want to see the AEW pay-per-views, that's where they are, but it isn't Max. And all the people who thought Max would be great for them, it wouldn't be great for AEW unless you could still keep a pay-per-view price on it, which means that customers would have to be paying for Max and the pay-per-view separately for it to be great for AEW. I mean, look at House of Dragon, the most successful show on HBO. It's on regular HBO. It's also on Max. But the smaller budget shows like Tokyo Vice, which is a good show, is only on Max. I mean, and that's the lower budget show. I mean, that's just the way it is. The big money isn't in streaming except in very rare circumstances. Your Amazons and your Apples, which have nothing else, that's their TV, and Netflix, which is, you know, the only profitable streaming service in the world.
Oh, but what if I said to you, "Oh, come on now, Dose, come on now, Evil Dose. AEW is still healthy, and it's good if it's on Triller. The kids love Triller, Dose."
Well, I'll say this. It is good that they're on Triller because they're not getting on Max. So if you want to watch those pay-per-views, you can get it. And it's good that they're starting to, you know, that they found revenue streams for those assets that theoretically there's a demand for. Now, I don't rewatch wrestling. So as far as a wrestling fan is concerned, I understand that I'm fairly unusual. So it is a good move. It's just not the prestige or marquee move or the power move, but it is a strong indicator that information you've been getting from the John Albas, the Dave Meltzers, the Brandon Thurstons, and the Andrew Zarians of the world, who have sources apparently, and Fightfuls, who have sources, you know, not Trust Me Bro, which is my source apparently, but they've been wrong the entire time. Max is not interested. They were never interested. They first rejected Ring of Honor, then they rejected AEW. They're just not interested. And they got rid, you know, there was a time when you'd say, well, it's prestige TV, but you could say, yeah, Jeff, they have all the DC cartoons and stuff on there and all the DC comic shows. Not anymore. They're leasing those out to Peacock and Netflix and anyone else who wants them. They're not on Max anymore. They're licensing, they're renting those things out because they're something like $50 billion in debt. And the ironic thing is that Comcast is favored to be one of the people who purchased Warner Brothers Discovery, but Disney's in this. Anyway, as far as the TV deal is concerned, I mean, with these numbers, I've always been saying the numbers that we hear were inflated. And people saying, well, with Ring of Honor and the pay-per-views, I'm saying they don't want Ring of Honor or the pay-per-views. Well, now you know I'm right.
Right. That's what we're trying to tell everyone, dude. Like, they don't want that. And that's evident because now it's on Triller and look at on. And then what a waste of Honor Club, too. Like, that just shows what Tony thinks of it.
Well, it also tells you, but it also tells you what the customers think of it. Because if Honor Club was doing successful, he could have just put AEW on the Honor Club platform and just call it AEW Honor Club. And if there was a customer base for it, he would have had it. I mean, WWE couldn't even make a network successful on their own. So now they've leased it out. They've outsourced it almost 100%. So, right. And they saved almost $200 million a year doing it, plus getting like $220 million a year, or whatever they get. You know, just domestically as well. And there's the other international partners. But, you know, AEW Dynamite merits a more applicable comp is NXT. I mean, now it's clear as day that it might be overvalued, but even with the lead-in, its comp is closer to NXT, and Collision and Rampage are way behind. And people are like, what do you know about the TV business? First of all, I don't know much about the TV business. I just happen to know somebody, you know, a few people who are in that business, and a few of them that are close to this situation, one in particular, and they tell me things. So it's not like I'm not a journalist, but you don't need to.
Me neither.
You don't need to be in the business to get comps. When you're going to buy a house, you get comps. You go on Zillow.com and you find out what comparable houses have sold for in that neighborhood in the last year. It's not hard. NXT is a truer comp than Raw or Dynamite. I mean, Raw, SmackDown. It just is. It's just obvious. It's like I don't know why people who understand things in the regular world do not understand things when it comes to wrestling.
you know, it's shocking because Awful asked me, he's like, what do you think this show is going to do in the ratings, Phil? And I was like, you know, this week, or yeah, I was just like, it'll probably do like its normal 728,000 or whatever the, you know, like whatever Dynamite usually does. Dude, the lowest ever. So crazy. Eric Bischoff had comments. He tweets out clown car because of course, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to unlike that, but yeah, he has every right to, especially all that's been talked to him by their talent and Tony Khan and that, especially after they try and do his only worse than him. You know what I mean? So I mean, we'll play flutes, guys. I told you we'll play a bunch of them. Get those likes up. There's been like over 260 people watching tonight. Like, goddamn, your boy Phil's a draw. I'll tell you that, or maybe it's Dose. I don't know, but either way, make sure you hit that like. I think we're at well over 100. Usually I stop complaining.
I'm not a draw. I have a couple things in common with Will Ospreay. I've got a strange accent. I've got bad hair. I'm not a draw, and I have a
Oh man, that's so good. Basically, someone tweeted out this. They're replying to Julian Weeks, so we'll follow it here. We'll follow the time. Julian Weeks says, response to Dave Meltzer in regards to the ratings, right? So Meltzer says, AEW Dynamite on Wednesday did 502K 0.16. Well, we have a lot to digest with Garrett Gonzalez on our show in a few hours. And then Julian Weeks says, man said they have a lot to digest. Oh my God.
Emotional damage.
And so this person at Cami_wrestling, shout them out, says, what are they? Here, I'll give them a follow. They're wrestling. I follow most wrestling accounts. So if you guys are a wrestling account at Pro Wrestle Times on X, I'll probably give you a follow if I see you. This is his 9/11. And then at Meltzer said, what? The GOAT has, of course, he puts it together like nobody else can. He reads the, and then I reread it so you all don't have to. So at Meltzer said, what says the Warren Commission report on the AEW Dave is now up exclusively for $15. Dave upped the price of his newsletter.
Yeah.
I wonder why. Dose, what are your thoughts on him upping the price of the newsletter when he's been for life the last 5 years?
Losing customers, raise the price. You gouge the people you have. That's what you do before you die.
Oh man, it's so evident, bro. They're calling for help. Conan. Oh man,
JD from New York knew he had to change his song.
Listen, I want Dave to write all the time forever, okay? But it's just funny he's now exposed for this. And I don't want AEW to die. I truly don't. Like, this isn't. I take no pleasure in seeing it be the lowest rating, but I do take pleasure in it. And I tweeted this at Bubba Ray Dudley because he was getting mad. You know, he's sort of sticking up for AEW a bit, and that's fine. Everybody has every right to, and I will too in certain aspects. Like next week, they'll probably do like 719,000 probably or so. Like this isn't like the end all be all moment, but it's just funny from the they've been talking and the clear agenda to trash NXT and be like, this is the worst book thing since Vince McMahon, like evoking Vince in this. Like that's it's
what
just
was so badly booked about NXT. Whether they made Joe Hendry was the first one eliminated by Frankie Kazarian from the promotion.
Right. They wanted Joe Hendry to win the Battle Royal, and well, the fans said this is. It's like, yeah. So they just put a bunch of heat on Kazarian Hendry, and then they're gonna wrestle on TNA, and a bunch of those fans might go, "Ha, I might need to watch this now, Dave." Idiot. They're trying to build. It's not just like here's Hitchasero. He'll fight on Collision, and then he'll just face MJF because Roosh was feuding MJF. You know, or whatever it's so stupid, and it wasn't booked badly. So I take pleasure in this happening when they talk all this and they tell everyone they're broken poor if you watch WWE and you're low IQ if you watch WWE, and NXT's this and Trick Williams isn't over, he's not good. So when they start doing all that, yeah, I take great pleasure in laughing at like I take no pleasure in AEW being down in the dumps. I take great pleasure in being right.
I want the world to make sense, and AEW doing well doesn't make sense.
Yeah, dude, it would everything up. Be like a bunch of Mandela effects happening and all around us. Things would start going Inception. Buildings would start folding in. No, but
that's
listen,
exactly right. It'd be like the multiverse of madness.
Oh, come on now, Dose. As Conrad Thompson would say, you know, come on now, Evil Dose. A healthy AEW is good for the wrestling business. And can I sell you some insurance while I got your attention?
Yeah, I
So
see. The thing is, it's not a real market, so it's unhealthy. I mean, it's good while it's good, just like every bubble. It's good while it's good, but when it bursts, it's devastating.
So speaking of devastated, right? Dave is
Mhm.
just
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
Observer figure 4. AEW Dynamite on 6/19 did a disastrous rating, by far the worst in history of the show, with 502 viewers and a very poor demo. 213,000 viewers. Oh, was the demo. Okay. So about half the number. Okay. In 18 to 49 and had a 0.13 in 18 to 34. God, that's so stupid how they even split those up. It's just such word number manipulation garbage. Anyways, the key was the 35 to 49 number. Oh, is that the key? Which is usually stable, plummeted as 18 to 34 was actually slightly up from the near record low number of the week before. The big question is why? The big question is why?
You what?
Dave, no, it's not. We've been telling everyone. I've been screaming and playing flutes from on the mountaintops for ages now, it feels like. Everyone's telling y'all why. It's the question. There's no question why. So they get into the excuses. There were neither NBA nor NHL playoffs against it. Exactly. The show itself was very strong as far as wrestling. Okay, no one cares because all the wrestling on TV is very strong. TNA, the wrestling is very strong. WWE, the wrestling is very strong. In AEW, the wrestling is very strong. But you can argue it's not. You can honestly argue it's got the worst wrestling. They do the most athletics, so you like move porn. Cool. But that's not the best. Like that's not the best wrestling. Wrestling being very athletic and laying in a chop or a punch and doing a 630, that's awesome as like sprinkles on top of the hot fudge sundae. You know what I'm saying? The ice cream is the foundation. And what is the ice cream in wrestling? It's the facials, the selling, the pacing, the psychology, the build, the character work. That all comes in, like psychology is the key, is the main thing in the match itself. Then, okay, so that's delicious ice cream right there. Then you can put all the false finishes and the blood and all that. That can go on top of it to make it better or elevate it, as long as it's not overdone, though. You ever had a sundae that's all goddamn sprinkles or all too much chocolate sauce? It ruins it. So, God damn it. Does that analogy work, chat? Let me know. Anyways, I'm yelling here. So the big question, there's no big question. The show is not strong. The wrestling's good. It's always good. Who cares? That's not enough. Building future bouts. Didn't do to build future bouts. They brought out Hechicero, and now he's just on Collision. Now he's just going to fight MJF. But it didn't hold the viewership. So the reality is people didn't see Claudio versus Pac in the Owen Hart tournament. Wow. And thank you, Tony, for that. The only match that was worth a damn on the card. In a great wrestling match is something they were interested in sticking around for. The crowd was lively, unlike Collision with the dead crowd on Saturday, and Collision did a solid Saturday night number. So that's the first page. Dose your thoughts.
First of all, I don't think they did a very solid Saturday night number. I think we're making things up now. But listen, nobody sticks around wrestling just for the wrestling matches. There has to be a reason that the main event is the main event. And the Owen tournament, he has 6 tournaments a year, so big deal. Also, Pac and Claudio, we know at this point that they're close enough with the in crowd, but they're not the in crowd. So nothing important is going to happen with either of them. So it's sort of like if you were watching Beverly Hills 90210 and the featured character was Munch and Brandon's friend from the hockey team, as opposed to anybody from the 90210 gang. Like if it was a Nat episode, nobody's interested. So it's like already B show. But this is, the thing about WW shows, they build the entire card and they make, and the whole night has a story which culminates in a main event. Is it always great? I mean, shit, we barely got a match in the main event on SmackDown, but everyone's saying SmackDown was like the best wrestling show of the year, and I agree with them. Nobody watches wrestling just for the wrestling. If people just want to watch wrestling, there'd be a professional Greco-Roman league.
Dave goes on to say the show is 9th for the night on cable.
Edition unknown on Discovery. He's citing reality television on like a grade 4 level channel. Come on now, Dave. Come on.
So it was 9th on the night for cable. It was 2nd place in the first hour behind the College Baseball World Series. Like, why does that even need to be noted? Absolutely ridiculous. So then in the second hour, it was 4th behind the game, which did an 0.76 in that hour. UEFA Soccer on FS1 and Expedition Unknown on Discovery. In addition, the Olympic trials on NBC did 3 million viewership. A very interesting. Well, look, the Olympics did draw for the trials, so I was there. You go.
So very interesting. We're watching TV. It's not. I mean, first of all, listen. June 19th, terrific holiday, but people go out the night they don't have work the next day. So they would go out Tuesday night. They wouldn't go out Wednesday night. Wednesday night they've got work the next day. Wednesday night they're staying home.
So, in addition, a very interesting note is that with current calculations, according to my calculations, only 39.1% of the 18 to 49 television viewers in the U.S. right now have access to TBS. So then why wasn't this brought up, Dave? Like right here, right? So he goes, a very interesting note is that with current calculations, only 39.1% of the 18 to 49 television viewers in the U.S. right now even have access to TBS and TNT, and only 38.5% have access to ESPN. So then why isn't that the built-in excuse every time with you guys?
Right. Well, did that all happen in 1 week? And by the way, let's disabuse something, because it's not even a very interesting point of, aside from the fact that it's ridiculous, because it's not. It wasn't 69.1% a week ago. Nielsen is not just on cable. Nielsen is on YouTube TV. It's on Apple. It's on Triller. It's not Triller, Sling. Almost any platform that you can watch TV on, if you are in a Nielsen home, Nielsen is connected to that. It's connected to every kind of internet television there is, including ones in office buildings, sports bars, hotels, you name it. They're connected everywhere. So it doesn't matter that fewer people are watching on cable. Nielsen is still collecting and collating that information.
Man, it's just, the cope is astounding too. I just, God damn, this is so, this is epic. This is like a gold mine for me, dude. I'm just thoroughly enjoying this.
Opium was a drug.
Yeah, dude, just like a very interesting note that the viewer, like, just some, like, you never brought that up before ever, dude. It's so
it would be a very interesting note if as of June 12th it was 72.5%, and in 1 week they lost 30 points. I mean, that would be an interesting note. That there was some en masse departure from TV. Everyone went to a more pastoral lifestyle and started worshiping the Sky Father and the Earth Mother.
So Sista series, I don't know what that is. The usual top entertainment competition on BET. Okay, is that like a Sista reboot or something? Which usually does 0.18, did a 0.12 last week, did 749 this week. Okay, so what does that? So see, people are watching TV, I guess, or is he trying to point out, like, look, they're doing lower numbers? I don't know. AEW was clearly hurt by the Black Panther movie lead-in. You guys. Hold on a second.
What? Do not disrespect T'Challa.
Wait a minute, dude. Wakanda Forever, bro? Not even part 2, dude. Not even part 2. Part 1, bro. Black Panther movie lead-in did a 0.04. And it was hurt by Black Panther. Why the fuck would Black Panther affect the TV rating for Dynamite? That doesn't even make sense at all.
All of the sudden, the lead-in matters.
Exactly.
I mean, they've been denying that the lead-in matters for. They've been denying that the lead-in matters for 4 years, basically. And I think the difference is, it's not that it's Black Panther. I think that the movies end at 7:58 or 7:59, whereas the Big Bang Theory, the credits start rolling around 8:01 or 8:02. So you're actually watching it. So it actually is people staying over. It's almost like the old TBS, 8:05 theory.
Yeah, exactly. And it just proves that, again, these people are coping. These people are lying.
Liar!
Because I thought that the overrun didn't matter. Just what Doe said. That's the point I was getting to. Like, well, I thought Big Bang didn't affect it. So now we're admitting, and you're agreeing with Phil Marks, that it conflates the number. It's strange how that always seems to happen with these guys, man. So crazy cope bringing up Black Panther. And I said Sean Sapp earlier. I thought he was the one who said Black Panther. Observer never ceases to amaze me. They bring up Black Panther as well. They were hurt by the lead-in because the lead-in was weak, meaning a lot of their just conflated from this lead-in of people watching Big Bang. It's just point blank. They admitted it right there. So I never want to hear when people meme Sheldon Cooper and all that. I never want to hear people saying that's not legit or, oh, the lead-in anything. They're admitting everything right here in real time. Dave's admitting that about the demo. They're admitting stuff about the overrun. Or no, sorry, the lead-in, and hopefully they bring up something about overruns too, because Tony did an overrun again, and he even advertised it. Didn't do shit.
Do you know what the viewers of The Big Bang Theory, what white comic book nerds and Raj love? Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, exactly, dude. And that's what they try to say. Oh, Juneteenth celebrations. It's like, who's watching Big Bang? Like, what do you mean? I don't know, dude.
And flipping straight over to Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, dude, it's nuts, man. So a spin is that.
No disrespect to Kendrick Lamar. I mean, I've heard of him, but like, no concert is going to take away from people. No concert's going to take away from wrestling fans watching wrestling. It just isn't how wrestling fans are built.
No, exactly. The Big Bang Theory usually does a bigger number, so they're admitting by name the Big Bang Theory is the draw, and then they go on to stooge even further. These guys stooge themselves out. A spin stat is that, so they're just telling people who are paying for this flat out. They're saying, if you want to spin around to try and with the way reality actually is, they're just telling you that, okay? Or maybe am I media illiterate and spin stat? Dose, you're smarter than me. Is spin stat something I'm not aware of? Or is he just saying, if you want to spin it?
Yeah, that's what he's saying, but he's been engaged in spin stat for the last 4.5 years. So, he's just trying to do a counterclockwise Southern Hemisphere spin stat. I mean,
it's like Australia, the goes down the toilet the other way or whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, all of his arguments are stupid because they're counterintuitive, they're counter-logical, they're counterfactual, and now they're actually counterclockwise.
Yeah, and so he goes, a spin stat is that in 18 to 49, there was a 243% tune-in at the start of the show. So now they're giving, so this is the spin stat. They're giving the people they've galvanized, these weird sickos, WWE Real One, and all these weirdos. He's giving them this weird ammunition, this sicko bait to go out there and say, oh, well, in the demo, there was a 243% tune-in. And they're going to say that now. They're going to go around and say this to people on X. And it's just gross. At the start of the show as compared to 45% the prior week.
So basically what they're saying is that more young people watched the Black Panther but turned off but turned off AEW. So more older people like the Big Bang Theory. So all of a sudden AEW's audience is older. I thought they were young and hip.
I know, dude. I thought they were young, hip, rich, cool dudes who had ultra MRSA level IQs like Evil Dose.
Mensa levels, not MRSA levels. MRSA's like a blood disease. It's like it's like when you get like an infection on your outside and it doesn't heal, like an outer hemorrhoid or whatever.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Mensa is what I meant to say.
Yeah,
I said
Mensa.
MRSA. Jesus Christ, I'm such a
yeah, MRSA's
Oh my God, we got a super chat here. What a spin that the verbiage from these weirdos, bro. Exactly, and he's telling them like, if you want to spin it on its ear, you can say that. And then Dosh just broke down logistically, but sickos are gonna go, oh yeah, no, there was this big 243%. So stupid, man. The biggest cope I've ever seen in my life. It's hilarious. So the spin stat, we haven't, basically they gained 204,000 viewers in 18 to 49 at the start of the show this week, and as compared to 108,000 the prior week. Modern Family, which followed Dynamite, did a 0.03 in 18 to 49. Like, why are you even talking about that? You never hear WWE go, oh yeah, the Barmageddon did a 2.2 or whatever. They never talk about that. It's so stupid. So as far as the Juneteenth holiday, I don't put much on that. Okay, at least fairness. It hurt in the sense TBS programmed a far lower rated show because of the holiday than Big Bang Theory. And even with the far lower audience, AEW and TBS's placing in each hour wasn't bad. And as sister station TNT was down 74% during those same 2 hours compared to last week, but plenty of stations were way up from usual as well during that same time. So people were watching TV. Plenty of stations were up during that 2 hours. But TNT and TBS are down those 2 hours compared to other weeks, and they're supposed to get $1 billion, according to Dave Meltzer.
Liar! Tell us what you know, you goddamn liar!
Sorry, go ahead, Dose.
No, I have nothing. Dave, well, I'll tell you what Dave knows. He knows absolutely nothing. The only person that gives him information is Tony Khan and the Young Bucks. I think even Omega's cut him off. So he gets one story of skewed, coke-addled, delusional liars that love to lie, telling him things, and he repeats it as if it's the gospel. He second sources nothing.
And so Dave goes on to say, or whoever wrote this said, but again, while those are accurate facts, even with all that, it could explain a small drop. So like his speculation and before, that's all accurate fact, okay? Right. But even with all that, it could explain a small drop. Nothing like this. A lot of those stats are spin to explain a decline that to a degree is explainable. What the? He's coming
to the realization that his heart is actually broken.
Dude, this is the Warren Commission report, dude. That's what this is, man.
It's like one of those 60s songs where the guy finally gets around to he lost his girlfriend and his one true love, and he effed up, and now he's got to figure out how he's going to live the rest of his life. This is Dave right now, going through a song by like the Shy Lights or the Delphonics.
So Dave says, obviously there was less interest. Obviously, the audience didn't stick around for the main event. House show declines historically precede and predict future rating declines, and this prediction factor came a long time ago. Yeah, you think, Dave, and not only that, they don't do house shows. So don't even, like, maybe if they did house shows, refer to it like that, and I get what he's saying, like, house show declines, but...
Live attendance. All of their house shows are TV events also, which usually brings more people out.
And it's just a spin. Like, it's just, again, this spin that they admit to doing. And numbers on Wednesday have been down in recent months. Well, shut up. And also it's summer, Dave. Like, less people watch TV and that, but like, just shut up. Like,
yeah, but I think he's only talking about AEW right now, and he's finally admitting that there's been a decline. But there's been mostly a decline ever since day one. We got some spikes with Punk in various iterations, and some occasional other spikes, but it's been if someone did the 5-year chart, it would be mostly down and to the right.
Dave 1, is that like Robot Dave? I am Dave 1. But like and the numbers on Wednesday have been down.
Dave 1 is like a bot on a Star Wars, Temu Star Wars, R2D2. Instead, you get Dave 1.
The fact is that they did not maintain the audience that started the lowest in history due to the lowest lead-in history. So they're just like admitting the lead-in is everything. It's probably an aberration, as you never want to do the quote sky is falling reaction due to one bad number. And I agree. I do agree with that. Like, it's not like AEW's going anywhere because of this, but their TV deal is not going to be $1 billion like we were lied to about or whatever. But this was more than a bad number. The fact is, Collision and Rampage this past week were fine when you look at the placing and in the time slot, but those aren't really fine either because no one's really watching those, but he gets away with it. Either way, though, it was lower than the usual second place in hour 2, but fourth isn't terrible as a general rule. The key loss
where you place that night is nice, it's fine, but it really doesn't mean anything. It's a statistic without significance. If like you're a new show and you're number 1, the network's gonna say catch the number 1 show on Wednesday nights, don't miss it. They use it for that, but it doesn't change ad rates or revenue in any way, shape, or form. That's all based on the viewership and to a lesser extent the various demos and who they're going for.
Oh yeah. And so the fact is Collision and Rampage were fine, whatever, a general rule. Yeah, we read that. So the key loss in the usually stable 35 to 49 audience, which went from 210 to 122 this week, a decrease of 41.9%. The 18 to 34 was actually up 4% overall. The show is down 20. He's just reporting the numbers, but yeah, it's just funny. Overall, the show is down 26.3%, down 28 from last week. So they're just going down, down, down. The ring
of fire.
Burn. Yeah, dude. It's not looking.
Drag me to hell.
We got more Dave. So this guy again, like, and this is the pompous attitude, which is why he deserves getting cooked here, dude. He deserves the flute. And guys, after tonight, like, I'm dead serious. I want to see flutes in every wrestling show's goddamn chat. We got to invade the world. We got to let everybody know flutes in the chat and what that represents. Anyways, though, I guess Dave, so this guy says, I gave up on the Observer around a year ago. If you can't spot an obvious bias, you're either stupid, which I highly doubt, or you yourself are reading it through a lens. I liked AEW when the product was half decent, but the way Dave protects his friends in AEW, etc., etc. Dave quote tweets this and says, I guess, you don't, like Tony Khan, you don't actually read. I've got far more friends in WWE. No, he doesn't. Or maybe he does, but here's the thing. They are the ones who stooge him on WWE's behalf, and they can get away with it. So is that really your friend? I don't know. Yeah. But either way. So in theory, you'd be able to figure who I was, quote, protecting there as well. And I'm far more complimentary to WWE as well, since I saw the research.
Let's pause there, because is he indicating that he's been protecting Vince McMahon for 20 years?
He's so stupid. He's just marble mouth Meltzer and Seltzy Meltzy. And so he's sitting here just babbling. Now, yes, that is what he's saying. But he's so stupid.
By insulting people?
That I don't know, man. He just doesn't. He's so unhinged right now and emotional and coping. And it seems as though exactly like he's too dumb to realize when he's like, I've been more complimentary of WWE as well, since I saw the resurgence coming well before it did. See, that's what matters to Meltzer. He just wants to be like, nope, I saw this coming before it happened. Meanwhile, when Phil does it, you block me, Dave. But meanwhile, when you, that's all, and I don't even care for the adulation. I just said I was wrong about Jacob Fatu, and today I love being wrong because it means it's more exciting, more compelling. It means I have something to learn. You, Dave, are a narcissistic, sociopathic, weird, marble mouth weirdo, and all you do is just want to be right, dude. And that's what's gross. That's what gets weird. That's where some of these sheet guys, man, they go into weird territory, just like needing to be right and stuff. Like, what do you just relax? You know what I mean? It's all good. And he would go much further if he came out and was like, we were wrong. We were way off. This was good. Just be real about it if you want to be wrestling opinion, observer, newsletter, and the guy whose star ratings, because Dave says it. Nope. I give matches that I don't like high star ratings too. He says it. So he thinks it's just, I knew the wave was coming before the resurgence was coming well before it did in WWE. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. He did not. He's always doing this. But AEW does provide great in-ring action. We went over that. I screamed about it 20 minutes ago and has great success over the years.
It's a matter of opinion.
Yeah, all subjective there. New Japan, CMLL, and WWE also provide great in-ring action. Why did you see? This is the bias, Dave. Why did you list WWE last on there? Just in his brain, that's what it is. Like WWE's at the bottom of the list in great ring action. When was the last time Dave was putting over? Someone pull it up and show me. When was he putting over CMLL matches? Like the next greatest big thing ever. Like when? He's only doing it now. And so I don't know, man. Just for him to attack people and be like, I guess you don't actually read. I've got far more friends. It's like, bro, no, Dave, we all read. All we do is
I guess Dave doesn't actually read, because the guy's first line is, I gave up on the Observer around a year ago. He's telling you I haven't read for a year.
Exactly. And the guy's like, oh yeah, before the wave came, I was putting it over then. So exactly. Dave doesn't read. He just stooged himself. This is what I mean. This is the stooge cast. I don't even know what to call it, man. It's so much copium. I just bookmarked so much silliness. So much so that we have Brian Alvarez responding to the GOAT AEW neckbeards. Man, are you kidding me? Bro, the amount of people neckbeards gets to like respond to him is astounding. Like, he is way too good at what he does, trolling like this.
Really.
And I talked to Neckbeards privately. Like he doesn't want AEW to go away, and he's not like rooting for its demise. It's just he's getting a kick out of doing this, and it's hilarious to him. And I don't know, man. You can't knock someone. What does Alfred Konuwa say? Get it how you got it, or whatever, right? Get it how you live it. So
right.
Brian Alvarez, man, he responds to Neckbeards like the last guy you should ever be responding to. And you know what I mean? Like there's no way everyone and all of these wrestlers too who've responded to him, there's been a handful, they catch themselves and go, oh, it's all in good fun, da-da-da. I don't think Alvarez did that. Like, I don't see a response from Alvarez being like, oh yeah, whatever, it's in good fun, I get what you're doing. But either way, Alvarez says it was a great show. Many great shows in history have done terrible numbers, and many terrible shows have done great numbers in all companies. It takes a long time in both cases to change the viewing habits of large numbers of people. And sometimes you'll see terrible numbers one week and a return to normal the next. And he's not like entirely wrong there, but him just going like, it was a great show. And then like, Neckbeard's going, but cage match, 8 point. But I disagree. I don't think it was good. The matches were too long. Ospreay squared off babyface style, babyface versus babyface with Swerve. And then he squared off babyface versus babyface with MJF. I don't know. To me, right there, it just diminishes everything. Okada's doing goofy. What else happened on Dynamite? The Bucks had a match that went too long. They're constantly doing the same tropes of like title eliminators, no real storytelling. It's cheesy. I'm not a big fan, man, whatsoever, and of that last Dynamite. And usually I'm the one, like, I really like the Roosh match, but that's like, I love every Roosh match. So, yeah, in my opinion, it wasn't a quote-unquote great Dynamite whatsoever. But again, that could be subjective. But just, I don't know. What do you make of Alvarez? Like, he's responding to Neckbeards, dude.
Well, that's funny in and of itself. Because, I mean, Alvarez is usually cognizant enough about the IWC that he should know who Neckbeards is. I mean, Neckbeards is not a small margin. It's like one thing to not know who I am, you know, but you should know who Neckbeards is, you know, and disciplinary committee and all that. I mean, there are certain accounts, you know who they are and what they're about. But, I mean, there are great shows that do poor numbers, but usually there's a reason for it. I mean, on a Monday night when there's the College Bowl championship game, Raw is going to do worse because even though most wrestling fans will pick wrestling over real sports, 15% might not. And if you're doing 2 million people, that's 300,000 less people. So, you know, I'm rounding numbers up, people. I know the Raw rarely does 2 million. But you know, that there's usually a cause. It's not usually out of nowhere. This is clear as day. There's only one difference. The Big Bang Theory wasn't the lead-in. They didn't have that 1.1 million people lead-in. They were watching the end of the Big Bang Theory for the first 1 to 3 minutes of that quarter, which jogs everything. And they didn't have as good or as compelling a lead out. I guess Young Shelton is done with its run, and now it's Modern Family. You know, I mean, so it's been jogged. You know, and you know, whatever the case is, you know, the networks aren't stupid. They're not fooled by this. And now, if they were, they clearly aren't. So even next week, if AEW goes back up to 700,000 with the phony baloney numbers, everyone's going to know the reason why.
Right, and they just admitted it.
Yeah, but even if they do, this isn't good. A year ago, they were doing 900,000. I mean, it's still not good. It's still trending down. It's still less. So you know, it's like hardly a victory to go back to, because there is no normal. Because the normal now, like if last year the aggregate was 903,000, the last quarter was 700,000. Now that's the average. You know, I think AEW ended with like 426,000 at the end in the overrun, or 434,000 quarter 8. Next year, that may be the high, because that you know. And what's even worse, if next week is like this, that if it is that people did change their viewing habits, that all of these people, 200,000 people, checked out all at the same time, that's worse. You better hope it was the Big Bang Theory, because if all people checked out, if all these people pulled an evil dose and just stopped hate watching, it's not fun to do it anymore. And there was someone else. I think his account is Alexios Malachi. I think or Machiavelli, Alexios Machiavelli, he said, "Listen, everybody, I beg you, if you hate watching AEW, just stop. Just let this product don't help their numbers. Just stop." And I'm with him. I'm not going to pretend. I want AEW to crash and burn. I fully understand that Tony can fund it forever and let him. Just say, this isn't a business. This is my racehorse. My racehorse never wins, but I love my racehorse. And AEW is going to last forever. I'm going to do what I want. Fine. Go ahead. God bless you then. Because it's their stupid fans and their defenders pretending this is
sickos. Hey, don't offend the sickos. They're great.
Yeah, pretending this is a consumer product that people want. That's what I want dashed. I'm perfectly happy to have 500 people who don't need to be employed at these rates to be employed at those rates. Terrific. Great. Put it out there. Wonderful. But I don't want to hear those stupid fans telling me how they're doing great in the demo, how the network is happy, how successful this is, how the TV doesn't matter, and the #1 show in Madagascar. And just shut up. I'm the guy. I'm the one. I like the Postman. I'm the person who liked Wyatt Earp more than Tombstone. I am aware that I like things that other people. I don't like The Dark Knight. I think The Dark Knight. I fall asleep every time I watch it. I realize that some people, a lot of people, think of that as the best superhero movie of all time. In fact,
love it. Yeah,
it's the best movie of all time. I get it. I'm in the minority. I understand that mine is the minority view. It doesn't drive me crazy. It doesn't make me want to argue with people who love The Dark Knight. Cool. You loved it. I did. Okay. Yeah. Whatever. I just want people to be normal, even in the abnormal range of being a wrestling fan.
So how can we help MLW beat AEW on YouTube? Now it's out of spite to say to the Bucks, they ain't young anymore. Yeah, definitely not. How can we help MLW beat AEW? Well, they just got to book good shows, and you guys got to tune in and watch it. I throw it on every here and there. And I don't know, man, I'm going to have Ant Evans on PWT podcast here in a couple weeks, and he'll get into that more on the YouTube side, but AEW's YouTube isn't doing well either. Like, definitely not as good as it could be doing. And Ant Evans has a lot of insightful things to say. I interviewed him on Toonie Talk before there, but there was a lot more I wanted to get into with him, and he's going to come on PWT podcast right away, and he will break that down more in depth as well. And I'll ask him about MLW for you guys, because I'm interested too in OVW as well. After that Netflix series on like the wrestlers or whatever, they started up in their YouTube game, and it's smart,
well, I'm really interested in NWA. It's going to be on the CW. I want to see if they put some money behind it and start making a product that was closer to Power and not close to what they were doing last year, which was horrendous.
Okay, so I was right here. According to Fightful Select, I did read it was Fightful or SAP or whatever. The drop in viewership is because of the lead-in changing from Big Bang Theory to Black Panther. So I'm not going to say like, oh, they're being stupid for saying this. Like, it's just they're all admitting now that the lead-in is what matters. And we covered that already, but Fightful saying the same thing, basically a built-in excuse.
It was the blacks and the Jews. They did it.
Okay. That's for Rumble. That's the you went awful, man. You guys come on the show and you get the overlords don't like that, but definitely.
I mean, they're blaming Kendrick Lamar.
I know.
They're blaming the show Sisters. They're blaming Black Panther. I mean, just come out and say it, and then they drop a shirt of Swerve with a target on his head.
With a target, we're gonna get to that. Well, let's get to it right now. So they drop a shirt.
And I know for those of you who are super marks out there, and you should be, I know he was kill shot and he used to wear a mask with a target on his forehead. But that's because he was the sniper, not because someone was going to blow his head off.
Look at this, man. And so Neckbeard, speaking of him, he says, what a great shirt considering we just celebrated Juneteenth, right? A white wrestler with a target on a black wrestler's head who would be considered racist or would be considered racist in other companies, but not in AEW. No. All shows should sell Drew shirts with Punk on them. And yeah, dude, it's like hit list. Yeah, he was kill shot in Lucha Underground. It's just funny how they're like, oh, we're not going to put too much weight on the fact it was Juneteenth, but yeah, let's blame all of these, just like you said, Black Panther, whatever. So I don't know. That's Alfred Konuwa territory, though, folks. Get into and then you look at NXT and
well, I will blame it on MJF. MJF is not a draw, so Jew on Jew violence.
There you go, bro. You get that's kosher in my book. So the whole narrative that was painted here, though, it kind of just falls apart at the seams. You know what I mean? And then they're putting out more bad shirts like this, and they wonder why it's not working.
And the Shayna Wayne one, the mother one, where they're trying to hot glam her up.
Right. So they gave her like a BBL, and then they did another one, and then she's standing in front of a car. Then they did one with Okada where he's standing in front of a car. And I'm like, I'm positive these are AI generated, trash designs that are made by like middle schoolers. But I mean, yeah, we can look at the quarter hours of Dynamite and see what happened here. The first quarter hour, 586. So that's the lead in. Second quarter hour, 542. Okay, so it's not like the rating, like we say the average 502, which is brutal, but they were way below that for the majority of the show. So 496, 489, 492, then they got a spike 523 in quarter 6. I'm not sure what was there.
I do, the hot lesbian action.
Was it the HLA? Mina Shirakawa, and chat, we put it over all the time. Yeah, the HLA. Yeah, absolutely.
The only thing worth watching.
The only thing worth tuning into Dynamite or Collision for. Yeah, Mina Shirakawa and Mariah May. Just, I'll send them a private jet, but just tell them not to text me. Tell them I'd rather use Facebook or Snapchat. I heard it deletes really quickly after you. Dude, Vince, infamous. He'll never live that down, that's for sure. So 498,000, 431, 423 in the overrun. So everyone was like this. And, oh, man, I don't know. Should we give it a Price is Wrong? We probably should. Really didn't do all that good, man. Dave Meltzer tweets out, AEW Dynamite on Wednesday did 502. Well, we have a lot to digest. And I quote tweeted it and said, even the sickos aren't that sick. Yeah, right. Vince may be gone, but this is Observer, the Brian and Vinny show, right? Figure 4, sorry. And they're going, Vince may be gone, but his booking remains in NXT. And it was such a fire NXT. It's like, dude, no, you're talking. I quote tweeted this and said, what have I been telling y'all for weeks on PWT? Look at this abhorrent display of a clear and objectively false agenda designed to galvanize the sickos into thinking stupid like this in order to undermine NXT and Trick Williams. I told you guys this was incoming. So you, Dave, you didn't predict no waves. I knew you were going to cry and all over Trick, and he's been doing it. And then again, another headline, another excellent Dynamite, worst booked NXT in forever. So how much more of this do I have to show you guys where the agenda is clear?
Liar! Tell us what you know, you goddamn liar!
And yeah, dude, there's a whole video. I have it here. I don't even need to. We don't need to listen to 10 minutes of those assholes doing their thing. And here's like a throwback to Dave where, Meltzer, or when was this? Yeah, this is a throwback where Dave Meltzer was saying, like, more people could tell you about AEW in public than could tell you who holds the WWE or Universal Championship today. Which, like,
nobody outside of wrestling knows what AEW is.
Right. Eric Bischoff goes off some more about Meltzer. So this guy tweets out, yes, Eric, you're right. Dave is truly in love with himself with a face like that. Who else would? And Eric says, Dave's a creepy geek trying to hold on to the illusion. He knows what he's talking about. His time has come and gone. He's being exposed hourly per PWT as a fraud. Yeah.
It's true. He's being caught, and he's trying to hold on to his 5 decades of relevance in this industry.
And so John JID pipes in and goes, NXT these past months, when I check it out the next day, it's entertaining as hell. It's so refreshing to see young talents used well in developmental, good storytelling and layered like characters you care about and the future. Like people talk about being progressive and all of these sorts of things. Well, all of NXT is people of color and women running the world, dude. So look out, because that's where it's at. The people who want to say, oh, they have the most athletic. Look at Javon Evans. Oh, look at Trick. He's like a modern, I use Hulk Hogan type. Like he's not the best in-ring guy, but he's just so over. He just has that it factor, so NXT's got it going. And then you have the vets there who are balancing the young talent, and everyone's being developed properly and everyone's getting over. We see people getting over. Nobody's gotten over in AEW. MJF would be over wherever he goes. You know what I mean? It wouldn't Will Ospreay didn't get over because of AEW. He's over because of his other stuff that he's done.
Will Ospreay is not over. No one in that company is over. There's not a single star in that company. I mean, they could be stars within their own company, but they're not stars outside of their company.
Either way, though, Eric Bischoff says, come on, you gutless fraud. So this is the Dave Meltzer. Eric Bischoff says, come on, you gutless fraud. If those numbers aren't in the ballpark, you are positioning yourself of having knowledge of the contract. What are the numbers? If you are a journalist who is worthy of your participation trophies, enlighten us or admit you don't know. And what he's referring to is Dave. I'm blocked, so I can't see it, but Dave is talking like, no, the TV deal numbers won't be this and that. And Eric's like, well, if you have the numbers, you coward, then tell everyone the numbers or stop talking. It's really that simple. Tell us the numbers or stop talking. Stop speculating all the time. Dose, do I got to get you out of here, my friend?
Yeah, I got to bounce, but he's got a good point there, because the only two people who would know about the numbers, releasing them isn't going to hurt Warner Brothers Discovery. They know what they've offered or hasn't offered. The only person it could possibly hurt is the person he's trying to protect. And I'm going to leave it at that and just say, folks, first of all, Phil, thanks for having me on. Secondly, folks, just keep in the back of your head the date July 15th, and just pay attention that day. And I know you'll be paying attention because you pay attention every day, but but there it is. But yeah, thanks for having me on, and it's been fun.
We have got more, Dave. We're going to play another flute. At Switchblade97, June 20, can anyone help me and show me where Eric Bischoff predicted AEW would be out of business or that the TV would be canceled for big ratings? Also, where he predicted NXT would kill them head-to-head. Yeah, I don't think Bischoff said any of that, but Dave is having fake arguments in his head, or he's just conflating and mashing together a bunch of different people, and then he wants to like blanket just be like, yeah, all of these people talked this and said these certain things. And he's speaking in general, and there are a lot of people in general who said that, but I don't know. I always combat when everyone's like, I want to see AEW fold or I want to see AEW out of business. I don't agree with that. I don't personally. I really, really don't. But it's all good either way, right? Like, we don't have to separate them the way Dave is. Look, he admits it. Like, well, because they did this thing, I don't like that. That's what he says right here. So this guy says, I don't understand the hate for Cornette and Bischoff. Both have been far, far more successful in the wrestling business than everyone I see on their names, and they have basically predicted everything that has happened in AEW. Dave says they predicted AEW going out of business in one case, and the other predicted the TV show would be canceled for bad ratings. Both predicted Vince and NXT would kill them head-to-head. There may have been points where each were accurate, but in the bigger picture, they weren't. The next TV deal will determine if they were ridiculously inaccurate big picture or just inaccurate or a few years, but closer to accurate this year. Dave, man, is just melting down, babbling clown nonsense, dude. That's the worst part. It's just like, how does anyone follow this?
Yeah.
You guys, I'm losing my mind doing this for you. That's why you need to get the likes up, and I love the PWT universe for just, you guys are the reason I do this. I'm able to do this. So anyways, basically, though, the TV deal, it's already not panning out. Dose is saying July 15th. You guys will know it's not going to pan out the way they predicted or they wanted to. And I don't know. Dave's just stating that these guys predicted things that, can you back up that Bischoff ever said? I don't know. But either way, NXT is killing Dynamite head-to-head. If they went head-to-head right now, NXT would kill them. And then they'd cry about, oh, the main roster stars, even though all of AEW is supposed to be their main roster stars. Do you know what I'm saying? Dave was confused by AEW's pay-per-view archive becoming available to purchase on Thriller TV, while the company is in active negotiations with WBD. Triller TV. Did I say Thriller? Yeah, I should have read this earlier when we were talking about it, but we did like an abrupt Meltzer moment of the show. You know, the whole show is based around this. So Dave said that you would think that if they were negotiating the streaming stuff, that the pay-per-views would be part of those negotiations. Really, who's going to buy a pay-per-view even at $7 from past years? You know, people can't even keep up with the current content. The idea of putting it up as a pay-per-view, I just don't see that as big money-making opportunity at all. So that made the whole thing, between the fact that this clearly is not going to be big money business and that they did this while they're negotiating with WBD. Boy, that was, yeah, I probably need to find out more about this because it doesn't add up very well to me.
You what?
You probably should find out more about it before you keep talking about it, dude. Jesus, man. Like, this guy's such a joke with his Just for Men. God damn. And hey, shout out everyone who needs Just for Men. I'm not man shaming here, okay? But like, goddamn, he just looks so goofy. He might as well dye it red next time, you know? So, anyways, though, like, even he can't understand why they went to Triller instead of Max, and it's because, Dave, what everybody's been saying. There's no it's what Dose has been saying, okay? It's not a billion or whatever you're talking about. Okay, no one's over. They don't have Punk. So let's stop this. Dave Meltzer, even on what I was talking about earlier, on the announcement that MJF will be facing CMLL's Hechicero at AEW Forbidden Door 2024. And he says, that is a weird match. To me, it's like you have MJF, who's your biggest draw, and he's in a match that no matter what, no one's going to care that much about. Even Dave. Oh, my God, dude. Even Dave's like, for a TV match, MJF and Hechicero, that's cool. That's fine. I just don't see that as a pay-per-view match. That's just weird. Man, it is very weird. It absolutely is. We already covered it. We talked about it. And so MJF, I wanted to bring this too. He comments to Fox 5 New York on his re-signing with AEW, right? And he says, re-signing with AEW was a very easy decision for me, mainly because Tony is paying me an exorbitant amount of money. But outside of that, I also believe in AEW. I believe that it's where the best wrestle. I believe that we have some of the most top-tier elite talent you get to see in the world today. Man, I mean, you can believe that all you want, but we believe in Joe Hendry. Clap, clap. They gave him money. Is that in kayfabe? Who knows? But that's the only reason anyone's signing there. You know, you get an exorbitant amount of money and it's honest, but someone who's not getting an exorbitant amount of money, and this is from Cultaholic, AEW didn't offer Jeff Hardy a new deal following Matt's departure. So they were just like, yeah, we're done with him. But they're re-signing MJF just to piggyback off of that, what Observer was talking about there. And a friend of the show, great guy, never met him. He just doesn't know it yet. Dave Shearer. I was told Uncle Dave is raising his price to an obscene $14.99 a month. We covered it already. I heard about it for someone who hasn't subscribed in years, but was still emailed. Brilliant. Uncle Dave learned one thing from Vince. Raise prices when you were losing subbers. For 15, you can be lied to. Oh,
dummy. Yeah.
Dave Shearer, man, taking shots as he does. And, my Uncle Dave is Uncle Dave Shearer from PW Insider. But yeah, dude, Dave, it's like a going out of business type party, right? Like they're plummeting. He's only got his core group of sickos. Got to raise the prices. And Uzi said, did Tony stop paying him? LOL. And Dave Shearer says, the sad thing is he gave away his credibility for free because he wanted the world to accept that his weirdo view of wrestling is what the masses wanted. They don't. God damn, dude, he bodied him there. That is amazing, dude, how he bodied him there. Dave was confused further. He has questions about why the bracket for the AEW Men's Owen Hart tournament is missing several of the company's biggest stars. This is a tournament to get a title shot at Wembley Stadium in the biggest show of the year. So it's like, why is Okada not in it? Why is Samoa Joe not in it? Why is MJF not in it? Well, Dave, because Tony Khan can't book. Okay. We said it a billion times. All right. So yeah, we look at the lineup here: Castagnoli versus Pac, Danielson versus Takagi, Wild Card, who's probably the most over person in the tournament, Jeff Jarrett, Jay White, Ray Phoenix. And I agree, right? I hope Jeff Jarrett wins it because he's the only guy who actually knew Owen Hart in the tournament. You know what I mean? So it would be awesome if he wins the whole thing, in my opinion. More Dave on Dave violence. When will it end? Flutes. Yes, they don't know how to book. He's wondering why AEW's is in the toilets. He wonders why it's in that it is. And then he questions why things that are over, getting 5 million social media views and all of this in 24 hours. He wonders why Joe Hendry and the Forbidden Door, the prohibited portal, NXT, TNA, Noah, Marigold, they got going on. They're interested in moving into Mexico and Puerto Rico. And he's not putting this over, though. He's questioning WWE right now. He's questioning HBK. He's questioning NXT after they been smoking, but just ran away with it this week. So Dave thinks that WWE's decision to have Hendry eliminated immediately in the NXT Championship #1 Contenders Battle Royal made no sense. Dave, he got all the social media views. He's more of a promo guy. What did you want him to do? Eliminate everyone? I've pointed it out a bunch of times. Jordan Grace was in the Royal Rumble, had the most memorable appearance, didn't eliminate one person. Did a bunch of dope, let everyone know that she's a top threat to anybody, didn't eliminate one person. So this battle royal right here, Dave doesn't, like, what did he want Hendry to be in the final? Why the f would you do that? Like, you want to push your own stars. Kazarian threw him out, so it progresses a TNA storyline at the same time that it progresses a TNA storyline. You know what I'm saying? NXT storylines as well. And like keeping your guys over. And then Kazarian, the vet, who deserves it, if anyone, more than Joe Hendry, was in the near the finals there of the four-way, which was way better, dude. But Dave goes, if I'm a good partner, you know, like the first thing I'm going to do is Brian, put the guys over in the other company. So see, Dave is so stupid. He thinks that like what Tony Khan's doing, where you bring in guys from other companies and then put them over on your guys, and that's just how you think you're gonna you're gonna beat your roster and make your roster look than outsiders who should be below you or equal to you but not above you. Like, it just goes to show you, man, Dave is ass backwards. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He goes, what's the first thing NXT did? They had Jordan Grace lose to Roxanne. Yes. And then Tatum Paxley lost to Jordan Grace, Dave. Okay? Like, it's called building up to it, okay? Like, you're not gonna bring the TNA champion and then let them beat the NXT champ. Like, that's the dumbest thing ever, dude. So then they come in here with Joe Hendry, coming off the week where his song got like big airplay and was number 5 in the UK a couple weeks ago. Bring him in. Granted, they don't know the crowd's going to go nuts, but they gave very few people ring introductions. I don't understand why they threw him out right away, other than they did. It makes no sense. Because they had to film the interaction with him and Shawn Michaels, dude. Like, because you're an idiot, Dave. That's why you don't get it. Oh, his song was number 5. So when Sexy Red came in, she should have got a number 1 contendership at the NXT. Like, what are you talking about, bro? So stupid, man. It makes no sense. And how dare you talk on NXT when AEW is doing what it's doing? But granted, he did say a lot of this doesn't make sense. And then the week after, they completely bombed, the worst ratings ever for AEW. So at least Dave was saying like a lot of this doesn't make sense and I wouldn't do this. And I don't know, man, it makes you wonder sometimes.